Now, I must say, I actually did this reading last week. It's it was done for some time. What I found though is that sometimes when I sit down to do the readings, there are some messages that come through that are just very difficult to deliver. You know, it's not lost on me how big of a responsibility it is to deliver these messages, and it doesn't it doesn't bring me any pleasure to be the bearer of bad news. And in that first reading that I did for you, that was the that that was pretty clear. That was pretty clear. That was something that kept coming through, that I just knew when I was doing that reading that I wasn't ready to talk about it with you, and I don't know that you were ready to hear it, and I just didn't have the language. So I hope that you'll forgive me. I'm I sat myself down and I'm gonna try this reading again, and let's see how this goes. Keep in mind that readings can be redone for confirmation. They aren't redone to get a different kind of outcome. The message stays, it sticks, and I think that's why I'm still picking up on that same energy for you. But I just wanted to make that clear, that I'm not redoing it because I want to get a different message. I'm redoing it because I really want to be sure that this is what we should be talking about. So overall energy for May, we have the Eight of Swords. And this, I would say that this is pretty accurate. It pretty accurately sums up how I felt by your reading, trapped by it, bound by it, and this may be how you may be feeling in some way, shape, or form in May. And I think that this is internal. I think this is about the thought cycles that you get yourself in when you replay something over and over again, or when you make a mountain out of a molehill, or when you create an obstacle where there wasn't one. And that happens somewhere this month, and I just feel like you need to get out. I just feel like you need to get out, like you need to see the world, you need to see something, you need to break free. I'm hearing that song, I want to break free. I got to break free. Yes. So what else is here? Okay, so the Eight of Swords being in the overall energy, this tells me that you may not be feeling like yourself this month, or you may feel that there is a situation in which there is no escape, and what there is a situation that will take a lot of effort from you to prevail. It will take a lot of focus, it will take a lot of attention from you, it will take a lot of ingenuity from you, it will take a lot of creativity from you in order to unchain yourself. Six of Swords in reverse and the Queen of Cups. There's some things that you're feeling that you can't hide this month. There's some things that you're feeling, that you're thinking this month that you can't get past, that you can't just move past. You can't sweep them under the rug. You have to address them. You have to address them expeditiously. There's a sense of urgency here. But it just seems like there aren't any options. Or the option and solution is here, but it's not one that agrees with you. You got the Three of Pentacles and the Emperor. Some of you could be dealing with a Aries with whom you work, or this is an Aries with whom you are trying to make it work with, but there is just this person is very sharp. And I think that how smoothly things progress, how smoothly things go, it's like it depends entirely on their mood. Talk about what's here, shall we? You know, Taurus, one of the things that I have always appreciated about you and loved about you is how there isn't a realer person on the planet. And I don't say that lightly. This is not lip service. I think that you have this way about you wherein which you are this safe space for everyone who knows you, everyone who has the privilege or the pleasure to know you. It's this appreciation for authenticity. It's this, I talk to you guys about this all the time. It's this, there is no mincing words where your principles are concerned. And I think that you're very proud of what you believe in. You're very proud of how you see the world, and I think that you're very proud of yourself. And I think that when you're very proud of yourself, you are, in turn, you're not ashamed to show up as your authentic self in whatever situation that you're in. And there is this respect that you demand that people give you because you are this way. In so many ways you see the beauty in people. In so many ways you see to the core of who they are, and you see what they need. And you're able to be that safe space in which they can let go of their fears surrounding whether or not who they are is enough. There's an appreciation that you have for people that I think allows you to find common ground this month, and it expresses that part of you expresses itself in such a beautiful way, in a way that is deliberate, in a way that is intentional, in a way that is not forced. The amount of grace that you have is it's godly.
Hey Taurus, welcome to your golden hour reading. So we typically grab oracles in the first part of the video, but I didn't grab them for you, so let's just go ahead and do that now. And we'll talk about what's here and what's going on for today. Over there. Okay. Overall energy for May, we have the Eight of Swords. So this energy speaks for itself, but we're gonna talk about it. So I think that this is an energetic space of your own creation. There's just no going around it, and there's no denying that you're responsible, that you play a role here, that you have a role to play in what happens to you in May for most of you. Now, I know that this reading is being done on the 9th, and for some of you, this feeling of entrapment that you may be in right now, or this feeling that liberation is hard to find, that the solution is escaping you. You don't know what the right thing to do is if this problem is all that you really know, all that you can think about, just know that there is a silver lining here. What that's going to look like for you, and whether or not you realize it, whether you think it's worth it to acknowledge it, is entirely up to you. I do get the sense that this first row of cards, I think, has already happened. I think this has already happened. I think that this is textbook Taurus. This is something that you know that you should have done. This is something that you know that you should be doing. This is something that you know that you should prioritize. But those plans, they just don't come together, or they don't pan out the way that you expect them to. And I think that you are your worst critic, and I think you give yourself the hardest time when something doesn't go the way that you expect it to, because you know how good it could be, you know how perfect it could be if only you had planned better, If only you had been more willing to let go of things that you needed to let go of and change things that you needed to change, then wouldn't that have been great? Now, what you don't want to do, excuse me, is get stuck there and continue to beat yourself up, because nothing can be accomplished from that space. I think that, yeah, you should be honest with yourself, and if you know that you're responsible, if you know that you didn't do the thing, you should absolutely be honest with yourself, and you should hold yourself accountable. And how do you hold yourself accountable? You do that by, excuse me, one sec. I need some water. You do that by not making the same mistake again. And I think that for some of you, those have the potential to be some triggering words. But we are growing, we are evolving, we are transcending in some way, shape, or form, always. When it comes to your demeanor and your persona, there is something that is very, I don't think it can be simplified to magnetism or attraction. I think it's a bit more complex than that. It is deeper than that. It has something to do with appreciation and respect for who you are, where you're coming from in your perspective. And if you're worried about whether or not your boss appreciates you, I would say that they do. This to me looks like a very favorable assessment of the facts when it comes to performance and what you can produce. You have shown that you have good judgment. You have shown that you have integrity. And you have shown, for lack of a better way of saying it, that you know what's right. Or another way that we can say it is, you know what you're talking about. Because it's not always about being right, and it's not always about saying things for the sake of saying them because you like to hear yourself speak, or because you maybe feel like you should speak up, or maybe you should feel like it's your turn, or if you don't say things or do things that you're in some way, shape, or form doing a disservice to yourself. It's different than that for you. What's required of you is something different if you're not already doing this. What you're speaking up about has substance. It makes sense. It's a value add. I do think that your bosses could be thinking about whether or not they should promote you. There are some things that I think there are some things this month that you really wish that you could be forgiven for. And I just want to say that it's not your fault. And I just want to, take a moment to make a distinction between fault and responsibility. Like I just think that there are shades of gray there. And I just think that that needs to be explored either by you or by me more, just in talking about it, because I think that there's more there. Like, what is going on there? Maybe you may want to take accountability because you feel like you're at fault for something, but there's something here where nothing can really be done. I think that you can try, and I think that you want to, and I think that that has something to do with this lingering feeling of, well, I won't say pervasive, I won't say lingering, I'll say pervasive feeling of abandonment, remorse, and loneliness. I do think that if you are seeking forgiveness from someone, just know that you are forgiven. And I think you should know as well that we're all changing, growing on the daily, and we're all on this path together. No one is perfect, and if you are not proud of who you were 10 years ago, and that's something that you're trying to move past, I think that you should rejoice. Rejoice in the revelation. Rejoice in the discovery that you have made about who you really are. Rejoice in just how well you have gotten in touch with your humanity and gotten to know your soul and have earnestly been working on cultivating a good character. And I think that as you continue to work on that every day, I think that you'll eventually be able to make peace with your past. The three cards that came out here are June. The month of June may be important. Russia could also be important because I'm hearing Tsar, and I think that's what they call their leaders. Or in Soviet Russia, I don't know. Capricorn, and somebody could have hazel eyes. This was your reading. Happy birthday. I love you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.